because I got so many texts this week because she attacked me the week before.
Sure.
So she was, I wrote, it was like, oh, Bill, I get you're enjoying the karma. First of all, I'm going to talk about this at the end of my show next week, teaser. But there is no fucking thing as karma, okay? Get over that.
But it struck me that in the first segment you used the term woke, and you said that woke is what was sort of ruining everything. And I know that you're
No, I didn't say ruining everything. I said that's why Trump could get reelected.
That's why Trump could get reelected.
Yeah.
So the term woke has been, in my view, co-opted by the right and weaponized and bastardized. And so I was surprised to hear you use the term, because historically, as you know, because I think you're quite brilliant, that woke is a word used by the Black community to note that we must be aware of social injustices.
But words
and so
migrate.
why is that a bad thing?
It's not a bad thing, and originally that was absolutely a great thing. Alert to injustice, who's not for that? But words do migrate. Now, I'll use any term you want,
Okay.
because maybe that is a word that's triggering, and so let's not use that word. I don't know.
Look, I got a ton of texts this week because she came for me last week. And now everybody's like, oh, Bill, bet you're loving the karma. First of all, let me say this, and I'll dive into it deeper at the end of my show next week. Teaser alert. There's no such thing as karma. Get over that fairy tale. Now back to what's actually going on. In the opening segment, someone said I blamed woke culture for ruining everything. No, I didn't say it's ruining everything. I said it's the reason Trump could get reelected. That's not the same thing. It's not hyperbole. It's a warning. Let's break that down. The word woke, yeah, I used it. And now people are shocked. Bill, how could you? Because historically, yeah, it started in the Black community to mean staying alert to social injustice. Noble, necessary. But words evolve. They migrate. Now it's been co-opted, weaponized, and used to describe a brand of smug, overreaching, ultra-liberal moral superiority that turns people off. I'll call it something else if it helps you sleep, but let's not pretend the behavior doesn't exist, and let's not pretend the left hasn't changed. Don't tell me this is the same liberal movement I grew up in. I remember when it was the conservatives who hated the Jews. That was a joke, relax. But now it's the left with the purity tests, the blacklist mentality, the moral absolutism. You're digging the same hole deeper and wondering why people keep falling in. Even the one concession I hear from some progressives, well, maybe we should stop saying Trump voters are stupid, is usually followed by a whisper of, but we know they are. Then you've got Biden. Yeah, he's done a decent job, but he presents as ancient.
They've attacked Israel 5 times. They've started 5 wars since they were given that land back. They could have chosen to turn that place into any place they wanted to, and they took a lot of money that they took from the international community and they spent it on bombs and guns and building tunnels. So if they need to be destroyed, how do we do that? It's a war. I don't know how to do that, and you don't know how to do that. I assume in September I said he should get out, because he's just lost the faith of people. It's not fair. He's actually done a pretty good job. Yeah. But I said he's going to be Ruth Bader Biden. That's the term I used. Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She stayed too long at the fair. I remember Obama had her over to the White House, like in 2013, to hint, hey, spend more time with the grandkids. Stop digging, not keep digging. Talk about doubling down on what got you fucked in the first place. Even the one concession I've heard a few people on the losing side offer, that liberals should stop saying the Trump voters are stupid, comes with a kind of unspoken parentheses. We know they are stupid, just don't say it. Yeah, I got bad news for you. They don't have a monopoly on stupid.
That's not fair, maybe, but it's real. He's only a few years older than Trump, but Trump still moves like he's made of Red Bull. And revenge. Biden? I saw him giving a speech yesterday. I'm sorry. The man looked cadaveric. Yes, his brain is sharp. But image matters. Presentation matters. You can be sharp and still look like you're one nap away from never waking up. That's why I said he's going to end up Ruth Bader Biden. Love her, respect her, but she stayed too long at the fair. Legacy ruined. Same thing could happen here. Even Obama tried to hint to RBG. Maybe it's time to enjoy retirement, Ruth. She didn't take it. The left can't afford that mistake again. And let's talk about the panel, The View. You know it got wild when I dropped Whoopi and Sunny's names like hot grenades. The room went dead silent, not a peep. No one clapped back because they couldn't. You don't argue when truth hits that hard. You just sit there and marinate in the sting. Then somehow we get into the Middle East and people start playing moral gymnastics. Are you concerned about innocent civilians? Yes, always. But also, Hamas needs to be destroyed. Period. That's not a controversial statement. They're a terrorist organization. They've started 5 wars since getting Gaza. They were given the land, could have built anything. Hospitals, schools, hope. But instead, they built tunnels and bought rockets. You don't get to start wars and then cry foul when this high. War hits back. You want the bombings to stop? Stop attacking Israel. Stop calling for genocide. From the river to the sea is not a peace slogan. It's a threat. And people on the far left, the woke side, are out here cheering for the wrong team? It's an identity crisis on full display. So no, I'm not playing team politics. I don't pull punches for your side or the other. My bond with my audience has always been, you won't like everything I say, but I say what I believe is true. That's why I'm still here. And that's why some people still can't stand me.
I've spent this whole year trying to find just one solid win from Biden, and I've got nothing. If there's anything good happening, it's buried so deep it's basically a myth. A needle in a haystack that no one's found yet. Meanwhile, the far left, they just keep digging themselves deeper into a mess like they've got a shovel in one hand and pure denial in the other. And if you think I'm exaggerating, just wait until you see this next clip. It says everything. You're about to watch people get completely triggered over absolutely nothing. They act like someone burned their house down, when really, someone just disagreed with them. It's finally time for a new rule. Someone needs to tell the usual suspects on the far left that the saying is, when you're in a hole, stop digging, not dig faster. Talk about doubling down on the very nonsense that got you here in the first place. Even when they try to concede, it's wrapped in passive-aggressive arrogance. Like when some liberals say, okay, maybe we should stop calling Trump voters stupid, but with that smug little add-on of, we know they are, just don't say it. Yeah, I've got news for you. They don't have a monopoly on stupid. You're out here wearing Queers for Palestine shirts, still masking up 2 years after the pandemic ended, and you can't even define the word woman, unless it's person who menstruates.
You wear Queers for Palestine t-shirts and masks 2 years after the pandemic ended. And you can't define woman, I mean person who menstruates. You're the teachers' union education party and you've turned schools and colleges into a joke. You just lost a crazy contest to an actual crazy person. And the same thing can happen to ideas if they are also conceived in an atmosphere of intellectual incest. Maybe take the clothespins off your noses and actually converse with the other half of the country. Stop screaming at people to get with the program and instead make a program worth getting with. To me, things like, well, you know, you can't fix stupid. Sorry, that doesn't work with me. Yeah, you're stupid because you're not thinking about the bigger picture. You're not thinking about maybe we did something wrong. Maybe we're not perfect. You know, it's like a relationship. You got dumped. America dumped you, and they're all like, you don't know what you had.
You call yourself the education party, the teachers' union, and you've turned schools and colleges into comedy clubs. You just lost a crazy contest to an actual crazy person. And when anyone points this stuff out, they scream, pout, and throw fake outrage like it's some kind of performance art. Every time, it's the same routine. Fake outrage. Over the top. Faces. Dramatic gasps like they're auditioning for a soap opera. But let's be real. They don't care. Not about you. Not about me. not about anyone outside their tight little echo chamber of hashtags and groupthink. The outrage? Manufactured. The empathy? Performed. The activism? Half-baked at best. What they do care about is keeping their followers emotional, riled up, and too distracted to notice they're being played. It's like some weird version of royalty. So much ideological inbreeding that the offspring of these ideas come out twisted and broken. When you only talk to people who already agree with you, you end up living in a bubble of intellectual incest. Maybe, just maybe, take off the nose plugs, step outside the echo chamber, and talk to the other half of the country. Stop yelling at people to get with the program, and maybe try building a program worth getting with. And here's where it gets even more wild. Saying the quiet part out loud has become a brand for the far left. They don't even pretend anymore. The bias is so blatant, it's practically a billboard. They'll say one thing on Monday, the exact opposite by Wednesday, and then act like you're the crazy one for noticing. The gaslighting is Olympic level now. That's why voices like Bill Maher stand out more than ever. Love him or hate him, he's stepping up and dragging the madness into the light. No sugarcoating, no filters. He's not just calling out hypocrisy, he's dissecting it point by point. Performative politics? Check. Double standards? Check. The narrative gymnastics they do to look morally superior? Absolutely exposed. Now let's talk about The View. For a second. That crew acts like they've been handed a divine compass. Always right. Never wrong. And God forbid anyone suggests otherwise. If you disagree, they talk over you, shut you down, and slap on that smug, we know better attitude. It's like a toxic relationship where America finally said, we're done. And their response? You don't know what you had. Yeah, they do know. That's the point. They had you. And you're a mess. But buckle up, because what Bill Maher said next? Surgical. Precision level critique. He went in and said the things no one else in mainstream media dares to say. And you better believe I was tuned in for every second of it. Now, look, I'm not saying we should blindly ride with Bill Maher. Let's be real. He's had his fair share of wild takes too. But when even he is pulling back the curtain on national TV and calling out how off the rails the left has gone,
And PBS testified before Congress this week amid accusations of liberal bias. Should the government continue to send taxpayer dollars to public broadcasters? Well, a little background here. I mean, they've been after them the Republicans have wanted to get rid of PBS for as long as I can remember. This crowd will probably do it. I mean, I also read my namesake, Catherine Maher, was head of NPR, and, she said, we're completely unbiased. Give me a break, lady. Crazy far left. So, I mean, I think we're past the age, really, where the government, first of all, why do we need to subsidize? Why can't we have outlets like this? And we're so polarized. These outlets became popular at a time when Republicans and Democrats didn't hate each other and weren't at each other's throats and didn't think each other was an existential threat. In that world, you can't have places like this, I think, anymore. They have to be private.
Yeah, I'm listening. Meanwhile, PBS was just dragged in front of Congress over accusations of liberal bias. Should the government keep pumping taxpayer dollars into these public broadcasters? Republicans have been gunning for PBS forever, and now they might actually do it. Oh, and apparently Bill Maher's namesake, Catherine Maher, ran NPR and claimed they're completely unbiased. Yeah, okay, give me a break. These outlets are not only biased, they're cartoonishly far left. And at this point, we've moved past the era where we need to subsidize them. Back when the political divide wasn't a blood feud, sure, maybe PBS made sense. But now, we're too polarized for government-funded media to pretend neutrality. These places need to go private, because right now, it's just one more echo chamber we're all paying for. They'd rather ride this ideological train straight into a wall than admit they've taken a wrong turn. Every day, the left drifts further into absurdity. It's like watching a slow-motion car crash. You don't want to look, but you can't look away. Nothing's improving. No progress. Even the die-hard fans are starting to side-eye what's going on. And the media? The empire's crumbling. The same big-name outlets that once dominated the narrative? Now they're collapsing under the weight of their own contradictions. You can't scream truth matters and then twist facts every chance you get. People notice. They're not as blind as you think. And here's the kicker. Remember when they told everyone, if your business can't survive without federal funding, maybe you should rethink your model? Well, fast forward, and now that exact line applies to them. Hard media ratings are in freefall. Viewership is tanking. Their whole empire built on outrage, identity politics, and cancel culture, it's collapsing. Because when your entire model is being mad 24/7, people eventually burn out. They tune out. They start asking questions. And once that happens, there's no going back. So no, you don't have to agree with everything Bill Maher says. But when he's out there saying what nobody else on TV has the guts to say, I'm paying attention. Because someone has to call this out. And if this breakdown hit you like it hit me, do me a favor. Smash that like button, drop a comment, and let me know what you think. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what's next. Because this ride, oh, it's far from over. Catch you in the next one. And trust me, it's about to get even wilder.
just wait until you hear how Bill Maher dismantled them, saying what no one else had the guts to say.
Texted me things like, well, you know, you can't fix stupid. Sorry, that doesn't work with me. Yeah, you're stupid because you're not thinking about the bigger picture. You're not thinking about maybe we did something wrong. Maybe we're not perfect. You know, it's like a relationship. You got dumped. America dumped you, and they're all like, you don't know what you had. Yes, they do. They know what they had, and what they're saying is, we know what we had, and you're a mess. Also read my namesake, Catherine Maher, was head of NPR, and, you know, she said, we're completely unbiased. Give me a break, lady. I mean, they're crazy far left. So, I mean, I think we're past, my view, we're past the age, really, where the government, first of all, why do we need to subsidize? Why can't we have outlets like this? And we're so polarized. These outlets became popular at a time when Republicans and Democrats didn't hate each other and weren't at each other's throats and didn't think each other was an existential threat. In that world, you can't have places like this, I think, anymore. They have to be private.
And just for the record, it was them who were screaming about cutting government funding, saying things like, if you can't survive without federal dollars, maybe it's time to change your business model and